Choosing the top muscle car for an entire decade is an invitation to an argument among car guys. So I have decided to start the argument by picking the top muscle cars for each decade, starting with the 50s through today. Put on your seatbelt, it's going to be a bumpy ride as we change up the usual 5 Weird Things format in exchange for 8 decades on today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Now, when I was in my teens, my dad had a 1970 Mercury Cyclone with a 429 Super Cobra jet. It was a beast. My dad gave it to my mom and she refused to drive it after a couple of days. She said the accelerator was really hard and it would give you just above an idle, but when you pushed a little harder, it fell to the floor and the car took off with a jerk. Dad ended up taking it to the Brotherhood Raceway Park on Terminal Island, California to race it in the back at races. Good times. All right, let's get into it. First, the things we all need to know. Criteria for choosing the top muscle car for each decade was a primarily horsepower thing, but I also listened to the opinions on several websites because I've said it before, I'm not a hardcore car guy. I'm trying to be, I'm learning a lot, but I go with the opinions of the guys who've been doing it for years, my dad being one of them. Otherwise, I would be picking cars based on looks. Now, any disputes for a particular car, feel free to put it down in the comments, but put down the details as to why, because it was badass is not a legitimate argument. Now, feel free to give your own picks for each decade in the comments. I'll look them over, and if it makes sense, I'll make a follow-up video and I'll name you in it. Everybody got that? Good. First up, the 1950s. And the top muscle car of that decade was the 1957 Chrysler 300C. It was the undisputed king of muscle in the 1950s, nicknamed the Beautiful Brute. It packed a serious punch under its elegant skin. Its heart was the mighty 392 cubic inch firepower Hemi V8, delivering a staggering 375 horsepower or 390 horsepower with an optional dual carb setup. At a time when most cars struggled to break 200 horsepower, the 300C was a full-blown rocket ship with leather seats. The powerhouse didn't just have straight-line speed, it also had serious high-speed stability. The 300C could hit 0 to 60 in under 8 seconds and cruise comfortably at 130 miles per hour. Numbers that left the competitors gasping for air. Simply put, no other production car of the 1950s matched its mix of luxury, size, and savage power. Now, a weird fact about the 300C? Despite its muscle car credentials, the 300C was so refined that Chrysler entered it in NASCAR races, straight off the showroom floor. Imagine buying a brand new car today and immediately winning professional races with it. That's how outrageous the 300C truly was. Moving on, the 60s. The 1969 Chevy Camaro ZL1 was the ultimate muscle car of the 1960s, engineered for one thing: raw power. Its secret weapon was the 427 cubic inch V8 engine, an all-aluminum block that produced 430 horsepower, though many believe it was closer to 500 horsepower in real-world performance. Now, what made the ZL1 extraordinary wasn't just the power, but the fact that this engine, designed for racing, was dropped into a Camaro shell for the street. This made the ZL1 the most powerful production car of the decade, outshining even the iconic Pontiac GTO and the Hemi-powered Mopars. The ZL1 was a no-nonsense drag strip dominator, capable of hitting 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, unheard of in 1969. Weird fact about it, only 69 Camaro ZL1s were ever made. It was a special, limited edition package, and its price tag was so high that few could afford it. Even today, these cars are incredibly rare and fetch astronomical prices at auctions, proving just how much of a performance icon the ZL1 truly is. The 1970s. The 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda is a legend, epitomizing the 1970s muscle in all its roaring glory. It was powered by the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, a true powerhouse that produced 425 horsepower and an earth-shattering 490 foot-pounds of torque. With this engine, the Cuda could smoke nearly anything on the road, making it the most powerful muscle car of the 1970s. It wasn't just about brute force. The Hemi engine combined with sleek, aggressive design made the Cuda both a showstopper and a performance king. The 1970 Cuda was a game changer on the street and drag strip. It could launch from 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, and with its torque, it could easily dominate in quarter-mile races. The combination of power and styling made it a true icon. Now, weird fact, despite its performance pedigree, only 652 Hemi Cudas were ever produced in 1970. This rarity, coupled with the Hemi's raw power, has made it one of the most sought-after muscle cars today, with prices often exceeding $1 million at auctions. The 1980s. The 1987 Buick GNX was the surprise muscle car of the 1980s, breaking all the conventional rules. Powered by a 3.8-liter turbocharged V6 engine, it produced 276 horsepower and a staggering 360 foot-pounds of torque. While those numbers might seem modest compared to big block V8s of previous decades, the GNX's turbocharged V6 provided incredibly strong low-end torque, giving it serious street performance. And what made the GNX stand out as the most powerful muscle car of the 80s wasn't just its numbers, but its ability to spank more established muscle cars like the Corvette and Mustang in straight-line speed. It could hit 0 to 60 in just 4.6 seconds, making it one of the fastest American cars of the era. The GNX was built as a limited edition, performance-tuned version of the Buick Grand National, and it showed what a turbocharged V6 could really do. Weird fact, only 547 Buick GNXs were ever made in 1987, making it a rare, highly collectible car today. Despite its understated looks, this sleeper car could blow away much flashier competitors, earning it a reputation as one of the best-kept secrets of 1980s muscle. The 1990s. The 1996 Chevy Impala SS was the muscle car that almost wasn't. By the time the 90s rolled around, the golden age of muscle cars had long passed, and most performance cars had shifted towards more fuel-efficient designs. Yet Chevy brought the Impala SS back with a vengeance, making it the most powerful muscle car of the decade. Powered by a 5.7-liter LT1 V8, it produced 260 horsepower and 330 foot-pounds of torque. Far from the monstrous engines of the 60s and 70s, but still enough to make a solid impression. Now, the Impala SS wasn't just about power, it combined a sleek, full-size sedan with genuine performance, hitting 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds. Now, despite its big block roots, the 90s were a sad era for muscle cars, as stricter emissions regulations and rising fuel costs led to fewer muscle-focused options. Now, a little weird fact about it, despite being a performance-oriented sedan, the Impala SS came with full-size bench seats, making it one of the last muscle cars to offer that classic old-school seating arrangement. And now, the 2000s. The 2008 Dodge Challenger SRT8 marked the triumphant return of a classic muscle car after decades of dormancy. Powered by a 6.1-liter Hemi V8, the SRT8 churned out an impressive 425 horsepower and 420 foot-pounds of torque. At the time, it was the most powerful muscle car of the 2000s, bringing back the raw power and bold styling of the 1970s muscle car era. The Challenger SRT8 wasn't just about nostalgia, it had the performance to back it up. With its aggressive stance and modern engineering, it could blast from 0 to 60 just over 4 seconds, offering muscle car enthusiasts the best of both worlds, classic looks with contemporary performance. It became the benchmark of modern American muscle cars, fueling a resurgence in muscle car culture throughout the 2000s. Now, weird fact, despite being a modern muscle car, the 2008 Challenger SRT8's exterior was so similar to the classic 1970 model that it was almost like Dodge built a muscle car time machine. Even the styling cues from the 1970 version were preserved down to the R/T stripes. The 2010s. The 2018 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon wasn't just the most powerful muscle car of the 2010s, it was a drag strip monster in a street legal package. Powered by a 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8, the Demon unleashed a jaw-dropping 840 horsepower and 770 foot-pounds of torque on race fuel. Even with regular gas, it still cranked out an impressive 808 horsepower. With this beastly engine, the Demon could accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 2.3 seconds, making it the fastest production car in that regard at the time. The Demon's engineering was laser-focused on drag racing, with features like drag race tires and a transmission built for extreme launches. Dodge even included a crate of skinny front tires to help owners achieve even better quarter-mile times. It wasn't just about looks or luxury, it was an outright performance weapon. Weird fact, the Demon was the first production car to come with a Demon crate, packaged with everything from a race ECU to a toolkit and even a jack for swapping tires. It was like Dodge handed you the keys to a full-blown drag racer. And finally, the 2020s. We're back at Dodge once again. The 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170 is the most powerful muscle car of the 2020s, delivering a staggering 1,025 horsepower and 945 foot-pounds of torque from its supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8. This immense power propels the Demon 170 from 0 to 60 in just 1.66 seconds, making it the fastest accelerating production car in the world. What sets the Demon 170 apart is its use of E85 ethanol fuel, which unlocks its full power potential. On standard 91-octane fuel, it still produces an impressive 900 horsepower. This focus on performance is complemented by features like staggered drag radial tires, a parachute mount, a rear seat delete, underscoring its drag racing heritage. Now, weird fact about it, despite its extreme performance capabilities, the Demon 170 is priced at $96,666, making it an accessible option for enthusiasts seeking unparalleled power without the supercar price tag. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked it. Now, if you disagree with any of those, put it in writing. Put it down in the comments. Otherwise, you completely agree with me, and thank you for that. So do me a favor, watch more of my videos. I would really appreciate it. Take care, have a great day.